little bit of an introduction to Illustrator. Already in your classroom, I put this up. I don't know if any of you noticed it. If you didn't, it's fine. But you don't have to fill this out or anything. It's just the slideshow that we're going to be going over and then the links that you're going to need for the tutorials that you're going to follow along with today. So, Adobe Illustrator, what is it? Or how does it differ from Photoshop or other programs in the Adobe Creative Suite? I have a little video that I think does a great job of explaining it. Make it full screen to then make it full screen. So in general, if you are exploring things on your own or thinking about buying or subscribing to any programs, the Adobe website has a phenomenal array of tutorials and introductions and things too, so it's a really good resource for you. I'm getting this video off of the Adobe website.
Adobe Illustrator CC is the industry standard design app that lets you capture your creative vision with shapes, color, effects, and typography. Work across desktop and mobile devices and quickly create beautiful designs that can go anywhere: print, web and apps, video and animations, and more. Digital graphics fall into two primary categories: vector graphics and raster graphics. Raster-based graphics, such as a photograph, are groups of pixels aligned on a grid to form an image and have a fixed resolution. Raster images cannot be scaled up or down without quickly losing quality. Vector graphics are resolution independent. They're made of objects and paths that are defined mathematically, which means they can be scaled up or down in size without losing quality. While Illustrator can work with both of these types of graphics, its powerful toolset for creating and manipulating vector graphics is what makes it the go-to app for a wide range of uses. So what is Illustrator used for? Just look around you to see logos that brand corporations and products, and are used in all types of applications, from business cards to websites, billboards to bus wraps. You can also create photorealistic artwork, navigation icons on websites, packaging designs for general merchandise, maps, both printed and digital, charts and infographics, posters, perhaps announcing a museum exhibit or music concert, and all manner of illustrative artwork, user interfaces on your computer and mobile devices, even the clothes you wear. All of these and more are created with the help of Adobe Illustrator. Start your creative work wherever you are with mobile apps like Illustrator Draw, Capture CC, and Comp CC, and continue your work with Illustrator CC on the desktop. You can work seamlessly across Photoshop with artwork that was first created in Illustrator, like this illustration, and leverage Creative Cloud libraries built into Adobe desktop and mobile apps to keep all your creative assets up to date and at your fingertips. And bring that artwork into InDesign for a complete design workflow. As a Creative Cloud subscriber, you can browse and access thousands of royalty-free stock art from Adobe Stock directly from Illustrator. And Illustrator integrates perfectly with animation and video apps like Animate CC, Premiere Pro, and After Effects, so you can take your Illustrator artwork to video and animations too. Illustrator lets you create designs that are infinitely scalable for any size of screen or printed material. And with Illustrator CC and Creative Cloud, you can turn your brightest ideas into your greatest work, wherever inspiration strikes. Go out and make something incredible.
All right. So a couple things that I think are highlighted in that video are the difference between vector and raster graphics, which we're going to keep talking about. And also what I think is interesting is the translation of the images that you're working on in each individual program and how you can go between programs. So say you want to do something that you can manipulate best in Photoshop, then you could take that image, bring it, drag it to Illustrator, drag it to Premiere Pro, which is video, drag it to Animate or After Effects, and like move between all the different programs. So that's pretty cool. So for us, Illustrator is going to be a great platform to be able to, there we go, to be able to create our logos. And then we're going to go and work with Photoshop later. But we're going to start with Illustrator. It works a little bit different than Photoshop, so there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve to it. So in order to overcome that learning curve, we're going to work together to make the same kind of tutorial-based project, and then we're going to take those skills and apply it to our own projects. So we talked about the difference, well, the video talked about the difference between vector and raster. Who has dealt with this problem before? Trying to have an image and then it blows up and it's all pixelated and you're like, oh no. So Photoshop is pretty good at blowing things up to an extent. But if your image is only like an inch big and then you want to blow it up to fill a whole page, you're going to lose some information, right? It's not going to be able to stretch that way. Whereas a vector-based image will be able to stretch indefinitely. And once you start working in the program, you'll learn a little bit more about how you create vectors. But basically, instead of using pixels like this, which is kind of like painting, you're just using pathways. You're connecting dots, which is showing a distance between point A and point B and point C, and then everything in between. And you're working more in distances that way. So then when you expand it, mathematically, the computer can expand it for you and figure out the right ratio. Okay? So another thing I just wanted to highlight is that what today highlighted is that you can still make pretty realistic images. It doesn't have to be just really simple logos. For example, this is an eye done with raster, done with vector, but notice the difference. It doesn't have those smooth transitions, okay? It's more of a graphic quality, which is kind of cool too. It has a whole different aesthetic to it, okay? Okay. Now, there's one more thing that we are going to have to know going into the Illustrator or a digital art program in general, and that's the difference between CMYK color and RGB color. And this video, I think, does a good job of explaining that. And the only reason that you have to know this right now is knowing how to set up your document when you start for whether or not you're going to be having your image be web-based, so for some kind of app or internet source, or if you're going to be printing it out, okay? So let's switch this one. Before I start that, has anyone ever heard of CMYK or RGB or seen that or anything? No, it's always there. It's always somewhere there, but I'm going to tell you what that means, hopefully.
There are two main color models used in design, RGB and CMYK, and it's important to know which to use and for what purpose. RGB stands for red, green, and blue, and is used for anything that is to be displayed on a monitor or screen, such as websites or videos. The very same screen you are watching this video on is most likely made up of millions of pixels. Each pixel is broken down into 3 subpixels that are either red, green, or blue. These subpixels are added in various combinations to make an array of different colors for the pixel. For instance, if the red and green subpixels are turned on all the way, the resulting pixel would be yellow. Or if the red pixel was dim and the blue pixel was on all the way, the resulting color would be purple. All 3 subpixels added together create white, which is why RGB is known as the additive color model. CMYK, on the other hand, is a subtractive color model and creates white by subtracting colors. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, which is black, and should be used for anything that is printed with ink. CMYK works by starting with a lighter page, usually white, and then layering each color together until the final image is produced. This image is made up of tiny dots of either cyan, magenta, yellow, or black. The bigger the dot, the more that color is represented, and the more colors that overlap, the darker the section of image will be. In addition to CMYK printing, you can also print with Pantone colors. These are specifically colored inks and are a more accurate way of achieving a desired color that CMYK cannot perfectly represent. Pantone colors can also include metallic inks that CMYK cannot produce. When designing for print, make sure you set up the artwork in CMYK and don't simply convert it later on. And also keep in mind that you are viewing the CMYK file on an RGB screen, and the final product might vary from what your screen shows. For more information, visit us at expresscards.com.au.
All right, so what does that mean?
We also have a range of videos to help anything that is...
I'm going to start with RGB. Okay, so RGB works the way that we see color in reality. So I don't know if you've come up against the mind-bending kind of conundrum of black being the absence of color and white being all colors, and what does that even mean? So if you can imagine in your brain, I should have had an image up here for you, I apologize, a prism, like in the cover of the Pink Floyd album, you know, with the triangle and the white light hits it and then it spreads off into different rainbows, okay? That's all colors together create white light, okay? When white light hits something that's blue, all of the colors of that light spectrum are absorbed except for blue, which then bounces back and hits your eye, okay? It's kind of tricky to understand, and it would take a little bit of, you have to go in depth a little bit about like the psychology behind it and like the brain process about how it translates color, how your eyes translate what it see into color, and then your brain perceives it that way. It's interesting. Whereas black absorbs all the colors. It's imagine it's like a hot tar on a sunny summer day, or like, I don't know if you've ever had a trampoline. The trampoline gets really, really hot in the summer. Imagine that it's absorbing all the colors and not giving any back, okay? Whereas white is all the colors. Now, anytime you are working on a screen, you're dealing with RGB because it's dealing with light. You're only able to see what's on the screen because of light. I don't know, this is probably gonna date me. Have any of you ever seen one of those old TVs that if you stand really, really close to it, which you were always told not to do, it had like those 3 bars? That was the RGB. Those were the red, green, and blue. So, and then you step back, and those little bars were creating the whole spectrum of color. Okay? So that's what's happening whenever we're making something for a web-based application, is we can use the RGB so that the only reason that you want to know is so that when you're making it on the program, it shows exactly the way that you want it to show when you present it. Okay? If you make it in RGB and then go to print it, the printer is going to have to figure out how to translate RGB into CMYK, and some things might get lost along the way. What does CMYK mean? I think this is a good definition. So this is those little dots of ink. Right? You've seen those like maybe like in old comic books, or like the artists that blow up comic books so you can see all the dots and how they add to make colors. This is how I remember the difference. So CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. We print on white paper, okay? If we're printing on white paper, we need to have ink that's black. So the one that has black in it, which is K means black. I know that's confusing, but we don't want to confuse it with blue. K means black. If you know that, then you know you need black for paper, so CMYK is for printing. Whereas RGB, which is the 3 bars, is for web. Does that help? Now, the reason I went over this is when we're going to be making our artwork today and the next couple projects, we're going to want to be able to print them out. So we want to make sure that we use CMYK. Okay? Are we all good on that? Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. CMYK, RGB. Now, also, I'm glad that this just showed this. You can imagine this was made in Illustrator and then turned into After Effects to make it animate something. It's probably cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to create a new document. You're going to name that document your name in pizza. All right, so you can even do like Izzy S or something and then pizza. And then the profile is going to be print. The size is letter. The units are inches. The orientation is portrait. And then you're going to save it to the desktop when you're finished and then drag that into your folder that you created in your drive. I'm going to walk you through how to do this. I just wanted this slideshow, once again, is in the classroom, so you can follow it if you need help. Okay? This is what we're going to be creating. I know it looks really, really simple, but this is a good way to help you figure out how to make basic shapes using vectors, which isn't as easy as just drawing. Okay? If you click on the link in the slide, it'll bring you to Adobe. Oh, look at how happy it looks. Okay? This is a series of tutorials that are about 4 minutes long each that you can watch in order to create this same piece of pizza. That's why it's called Miss Night Pizza or whatever it is. Okay, because we're all just going to be making this slice of pizza. And I don't even think this is going to take us the whole class, but I just want you to get used to using the shapes. Any files that you need from this, if you click on Get Files, it will give you, I think it was in this. Yep, it'll give you this photograph of the pizza. It'll also give you this one that they created. Hello, Yoshi. All right, so that's like some things that they're giving you just to use as references, okay? So I also just made this Yoshi the other day in Illustrator, so that's how you could apply it to any other interest, okay? So this is where you're going to be getting your information from, walking you through until you get to this step, okay? Now, I just wanted to point out the next step after this is we're going to be recreating the Batman sign. 2, which uses a different set of tools. So I want us all to do the pizza first, and then we'll reconvene. I'll show you how to do the Batman, and we could even do it individually if someone's like really like powering through and getting through it all quickly. And then we'll do this, because the Batman tools combined with the pizza tools are how you're going to be making your logo. I just wanted to quickly, for you guys, go over how I would create a new document on here. So I have Illustrator up. See, it looks a lot like Photoshop, but the only way that you can tell that it's different, unless you're familiar with the tools, is it says up here, Illustrator, always what program you're using. You're going to go to File, New, okay? And then this screen is going to come up. And I apologize for it not being super great. Maybe that'll be better. Thanks. All right, you'll see it when it's on your computer. All right, right now I have a couple things here. When you go onto your computer, there might not be any recently used items here. What you're going to want to do is go over mobile, web, go to print, right? That's why I said the type of file will be a print file. All right, in this, they already have a preset for letter. Letter means 8.5 by 11. That's what we want. So we want to click on letter. Then over here, this is when you can title it Miss Knight Pizza, okay? Also, I wanted to show you right here. Once again, you can't see that well, unfortunately. It says how big it is based on points. This is just Illustrator talk because vectors are based out of points. If you convert it to inches, it'll say 8.5 by 11, just so you know what that means. This is your orientation, whether it's portrait or landscape, is going to change whether it's taller or wider. Leave it as portrait. Artboards, we only need one. This right here, color mode, CMYK or RGB. Make sure CMYK is clicked. It could be on RGB mode if someone else was using it for RGB. Okay? You're good. You're going to create, and then it gives you an artboard, and then you're ready to start working on your pizza. Another thing that's cool about this program, so you know, is that if I'm making, let's see, I made a circle, okay? And then I have to click on my square to change the shape, the color of it, okay? I can pretend I want to use this later or save it for later. I can leave it off to the side, and only what's within this white artboard is what's going to be in the final logo. But I can kind of imagine that this is like the side of my table where I keep things for later. Just so you know, you can use that if you're feeling like you're getting crowded. Move things off to the side. Does anyone have any questions? So you're going to log in. You're going to go to your classroom, get that tutorial, and I'm going to walk around and help.